Greetings to you from Lagos. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo.
It's good to have you join us once again to talk sports in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan.
All right, on the show tonight, we'll be talking about gymnastics. We have somebody lined up to talk to us on gymnastics in Nigeria, especially plans for developing the game at the grassroots. We'll also look at what is going on with football. We'll also, on the show, talk about mental health issues. Is on the front burner these days, top athletes talking about some of the things they're going through. At some point, we hope to also give you a slice of tennis as we move on the show. That's basically the outlook of the show. But as you know, in the interesting world of sports, things happen. And if anything happens outside of what I've just said, we'll also do our best to let you know.
It's definitely an action-packed world of sports here. I mean, the action takes place most times on the field and off the field. For instance, the crisis was seen in the Nigeria Basketball Federation, the allegations by members of the D Tigers, of which will be getting loads of reactions. The Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, they responded, and then the D Tigers also answered them. So we're glad that persons are beginning to see the essence of dialogue. And I'm saying if we had done this earlier, we wouldn't be in this situation, you know. So we'll continue to take a look at that situation till it is solved and, you know, out of the way. But we'll also continue to, you know, X-ray new presidents and returning presidents of different sporting federations in Nigeria. We've done wrestling. We did cricket the other night. Today, we want to talk about gymnastics. I know, I mean, this is one sport that when you say it in Nigeria, you also get a look, gymnastics. But yes, Nigeria even had a representative at the Olympics, Uche Eke, and that we believe is good development for the sport. So when we get into that segment with the president of the federation, we will get into it, talk about it. You also mentioned tennis and so much more happening in our world of sports.
Yeah, a lot happening, and I can't wait for us to have that conversation. And yeah, just before we get into that conversation, something came to my mind that you know, it's beginning to become a problem with Nigerian sports. And I'm very sure the president of the federation will be able to enlighten us if that's not the case with gymnastics. Some of these sports we're beginning to get noticed, but not really because of what we do on the domestic scene. Is either because somebody that has benefited from another system that comes to represent Nigeria. That's a problem that we're beginning to see across board. We're trying to circumvent the normal process, which is discover talent, something we do a lot with the China Skills Cup, discover talent, nurture them to stardom. Don't just go and start picking people who've benefited from another system and trying to make them represent Nigeria. And that's what is happening across board, football, basketball, everywhere. And that's why we're worried. And that's why we're doing this, because we need to get answers. And if we're doing the right things with grassroots, then there's nothing to be worried about.
I agree with you, Yemi, and that's a problem of structure. That's why the federation, they must find a way to bring about a proper governance structure. Remember, the newly elected president of the Nigeria Cricket Federation, Apata, mentioned it was that they need to have a good governance structure where everyone at the different regions will be involved. You know, that's why it's a problem. We're not building from the bottom. So we look for talents that are already made, and then we poach them, bring them back. So as we're doing that, we are ignoring development at the grassroots. We're ignoring the foundation. And that's why sports in Nigeria at the moment, you mentioned, is struggling. So it's a structural problem. They need to sit down, find a way to bring about policies, to bring about developmental programs, long-term, you know, that will bring about those sort of changes that we need, that will drive change from the bottom to the top. If we don't do that, I mean, we'll continue to struggle. And I just hope that these new presidents, they will sit down and have proper goals and objectives, have a vision for the federation, say in 2, 3, 4 years' time, or maybe have a 5-year program and say, we will do this and do that and do this. And then we will start talking about development at a proper level. So hopefully when we're joined by the president of the Gymnastics Federation of Nigeria. We'll have that conversation because Yemi Gymnastics, to an extent, is looking good.
Yeah.
Kids are beginning to take interest in the sport. We're beginning to talk about it often in the media. We had Uche Ike represent the country at the Olympics, which is a good one. Not just for Nigeria. It was the first time, I think, West Africa and Africa, to an extent, was having a representative in gymnastics at the Olympics. So it's a big one for the country, and we must consolidate on this. And that's why I think the president of the federation will have a lot of explanation to do and tell us about their goals and objectives for this new administration.
All right. Okay. So, Austin, let's do a little bit of reshuffling while we wait to have that very interesting conversation. You let the cat out of the bag already. So let's just go to basketball. It's a hot potato. Everybody wants to listen to everybody. A lot of information. A lot of information out there, and we're going to do our best to objectively try to unpack some reactions here and there. So let me allow you set the ball rolling, and we'll try to give our viewers a sequence of events and how we got to where we are now.
Yeah. So it's a long journey that started in 2017. And so these girls are saying we're being owed allowances, being owed bonuses. Mm-hmm. They compared, their previous successes that they won, and they were taken to the villa, and they were shown love. Remember I would say on this show that most times it's not about giving money. It's about making people feel loved, appreciated, a sense of belonging, and they commended that administration, former minister Solomon Dalong, that took them to the president, and a lot of promises, were made. And we were rooting for these girls to go ahead to do the trip. But before they went to the Afrobasket, there was the Olympics. And under the Adopt a Talent program, and let's give kudos to this current minister and his team for that program, was able to, generate some funds for athletes, for different sports to go to the Olympics. So the girls said they had made about different donations of about $230,000, and that they didn't see the money. Yemi, they chained up, went to the Afrobasket. Olympics didn't go the way they wanted. Went to the Afrobasket, created history, won the tripit, the Afrobasket title for the third time in a row. And they were expecting some more love. It didn't come until we got that shocking video on Tuesday that came out online. And these girls are saying, look, we don't like how we're treated. And so they made demands. If we don't get our unpaid bonuses and allowances, we're not going to open camp for the World Championships. And that was how everybody started, asking questions and saying a lot of things. So after the ministry responded today, we got this press release from the D Tigress saying it is incredibly sad that we have to take these measures for things we shouldn't fight for it to be addressed. We're glad we have the support of our fans, friends, family, pundits, and some leadership around the world to bring awareness to what has plagued not only Nigerian sports, but Africa in general. We thank the ministry for their swift response, but respectively declined part payment of monies owed to every member of D Tigress since 2018 FIBA Women's World Cup, which includes players, officials, behind-the-scenes staff, vendor, etc. We are a team and we leave no one behind. The ministry is the governing body of Nigerian sports and needs to hold the MBBF, former president, accountable. So they said a lot of things, and part of it, they said this includes but not limited to total amount owed, improved travel conditions, hiring a general manager, and they said these three conditions are non-negotiable. So, Yemi, it's been a lot of back and forth, and I'm saying if you look at this situation properly with this brief background, Yemi, wasn't it avoidable?
It was. It's a total mess, and now we are hearing explanation, allegations, counter allegations, and we'll try our best to be objective and stay in the middle. But I agree with you. All of this very avoidable, and we've found a way to drag ourselves in the mud, and we're now hearing, like the girl said, all of these things shouldn't have gotten to this. But you also talked about a response from the sports ministry. I think it's only fair that we also let our viewers get to hear that so that we can put everything in perspective. And like I said, we're trying to carefully unpack all of these things, and you've done a good job giving us the sequence of events, what got us to this point. And the girls have said, thank you for your swift response. No part payment here, please. But let's just quickly get that response from the sports ministry on that issue. Then we'll come back to carefully unpack some of the issues related to the unpaid bonuses for the D-Tigers.
I want to use this opportunity to assure you that that money is safe because it is presently domiciled with the Central Bank of Nigeria. And contrary to the allegations out there, the money is intact and we have the records at our disposal. Whoever cares can come further for clarifications. That is, if there is need for that. Presently, the process to ensure that each and every athlete gets his entitlement is on. The female athletes so far have submitted their verified bank accounts, and as soon as we get the support of the Ministry of Finance, each of them will be paid. Our major constraint here is that we are yet to receive any response from the male basketball players who are equally entitled. And once we get that, I can assure you that each and every player will have no reason to complain about his allowances. Well, you see, this crisis has been ongoing for quite some time, but then, as a government, we are trying to do our best to ensure that the crisis is resolved amicably. I understand we have two factions, and very soon we are inviting them to a dialogue to ensure that this matter is resolved, in order to ensure that we move the sport a step further and to ensure that we succeed in whatever basketball event Nigeria is involved.
All right, it's a swift response from the sports ministry on that matter. And, you know, some people say, how do the guys figure in this? You know, you're saying, without preempting or trying to wrongly dissect what has been said, I'm just curious as to, we're talking about the ladies, now you're factoring in the guys. I don't know, can we help ourselves and not muddle the things up? I mean, that's how it sounds to me.
I mean, I see how you struggle to explain these things. That's how I've been, you know, since this video, you know, came out. And we're glad that we got, you know, the permanent secretary make some explanations, you know, Ismaila Abubakar, but it didn't really do justice to what is on ground, because we know most times the bureaucracies in government cause all of this. So maybe they've said, for instance, we need to create a memo to pay the men and women together. No, these ladies are not happy. They feel cheated. So it's a problem. Solve it. If the men are not bringing their bank account details, that's their problem. The ladies have said what they want. Can we just give them what they want? And they have done so well for the country. They have represented us so well. They've given us glory. They've given us joy. They have said what they want. They've stated their demands. There are no rules or excuses anymore. Can we just take care of our ladies, and whoever has a problem later can come up also and talk about it and you solve it? But hopefully, I mean, the lesson out of this is that we must learn. We must learn how to fix things administratively, because you see, for instance, this could have affected these ladies, but they went there, gave their best performance, and then they won. Now they're addressing the issue. We must commend them, must tell them well done. Not all of these things you're saying that is, if the problem has been existing since 1900, is that why it should still be existing? Let's start talking about solutions. You see, everything rises and falls on leadership. And that's why I've been talking to the ministry led by Mr. Sunday Dari, that they need to find a way to make sure that these things, particularly some of the problems that they inherited, does not affect their good works. You see, I always tell people, Yemi, that public relations does a good job in avoiding problems than solving them. So the problems you can avoid, avoid them so that it doesn't get so bad. Because you agree with me that this could have been avoided. Because these girls waited. Oh, so they're not talking to us 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Come on. We don't want to hear anything about the men. Stop the ladies and let everybody be okay.
And see, you see that in all of the things I've been saying, I'm worried about this, but I'm not worried just about this alone, because it's a recurring decimal. It's across. But
right.
See, now we have world-class athletes. We have athletes who are used to standard practices, best standard practice across the world. Then you now bring all of those people together. You want to use, without sounding disrespectful, you want to take them back to medieval age administratively. There will be issues. If we're serious about sports, we need an overhaul, basically. And it also brings me to the point, based on what you have said, is, look, we even need to be fair when we're judging these athletes on their performances, because if all of these problems are there, and we still expect them to go out and give us the best. Because, look, if they didn't do the tripit and they came out to say all of this, we'll say, we'll dismiss what they're saying. Now, in spite of it, they went out, they won, and now we are able to better appreciate the things that they went through to get us fame, honor, and glory, bring it to the fatherland. And so the sports ministry, I mean, they have their work cut out. There needs to be overhaul. Maybe there has to be a sit down with the federal government and like, look, sports is money spinning. We cannot continue to treat sports like a civil service. You cannot begin to say, you sign this thing, you have to wait for 3 months, you have to wait. If that's what we want to do, then we have no business in sports, basically.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you see, just to add to what you said, the ladies said it in their video also that we won, and they came out to carry our trophy, and they were proud of what we did. You see, they're saying that they know that's when you come out, because it counts as your gain, either to the ministry or the MBBF. First, we don't even want to talk about the MBBF that is shrouded in so much leadership crisis, and because of that, it's beginning to lose its focus as regards where they should take basketball to in Nigeria. And this is really sad, because people are putting selfish interest before national interest, and it's also affecting the professional careers of professional athletes who are playing basketball. So everybody just needs to sit down. I know they tried to have that reconciliation meeting last week, Saturday, and nothing came out of it because there were protests today in Abuja. They need to sit down and say, look, it is affecting our basketball. These ladies are already complaining. The men didn't do well at the last Afro-Basket. So people need to realize that, look, no more room for excuses. The PAMSEC tried to do a good job, but started deviating and giving excuses. So yeah, I mean, let's bring back the press statement released by the D-Tigress, so that we will see what, see, they made some clarifications, because it's like someone communicated to them and said, we will pay you part payment, or we'll pay this one, won't pay that one. So if our viewers will see that press statement again, they said it clearly that, look, everybody that were involved, take care of them. And these includes, but not limited, to the total amount owed, improve travel conditions, and then you hire a general manager. They said these 3 conditions are non-negotiables. We are open to a sit-down conversation at the appropriate time. All communication should be directed to our captain, Adora Elonu. We're supposed to have Adora Elonu on this show tonight. Adora said, I'll stay in the ministry, they're beginning to talk. So let's wait and understand where they are going. So hopefully tomorrow, Adora might get to speak to us, because do you blame them for speaking out?
I don't. Nobody should. And even the explanation about the money being intact, it sounds, I'm trying not to sound disrespectful, but sometimes it looks like you're trying to put a wool over our, if the money is somewhere, dole it out. All of these things, it's just, it doesn't look right. Doesn't feel right, doesn't look right. And if people have served their fatherland, they deserve everything they've been promised. And all of those things they've listed, they are things that they should have. Basic necessities. that they should have. It's not even something that should be up for discussion. And that's why they said it's not negotiable. And I agree with that.
Particularly for a team that is performing, for a team that is doing so well. So, I don't know, we just hope that the ministry, they would jump on this, because that's what I said, that look, no more excuses. They've told you what they want, jump on it now and start looking for solutions. From this point onwards, it's about making sure that the right things are done. Let's go on a quick break. It's Sports Tonight on Channels Television. When we come back, hopefully the president of the Gymnastics Federation of Nigeria, Kevin Rumose, would have joined us, and we'll have that conversation. So don't go anywhere. Stay.
All right, so welcome back. We've been talking about basketball, and of course, we started out talking about gymnastics. We're still hoping that before we wrap things up on the show, we will have that conversation as we've been doing with all other federations, trying to know their agenda, their goals, their plans to develop sports at grassroots levels, and of course, also hoping that some of the problems that seems to be recurring across all federations, some of them have what they plan to do to tackle those problems. So, Austin, hopefully at some point we'll be able to have that conversation. If we can't, we'll have to move on the show. But it's good. It's good we're bringing all of this at the early stages of the administrations. We're bringing all of this. So we're not going to be having all of these excuses. We know that finances is big. But a lot of these other issues about developing the game itself, it should be top on the agenda.
Particularly a sport that is gathering momentum, that is generating interest, that's getting kids involved, you know. When you look at some sport like taekwondo, karate, judo, where kids at early swimming, you know, at an early age, their parents even give them the interest, you know, take them out, learn the sport for self-defense. You wonder why we don't leverage on search, because that's what they do in modern societies. The fact that kids, like in China, at age 2, 3, they already train the kid into the water, because at that stage their legs are very flexible, they can move, and so they start teaching them the basics. Gymnastics is one of that. And I think of the National Sports Festival, we talked about the little girl from Anambra that won gold medals and silver medals at about 8 or 9 years old. Such federation will leverage on it, because you've already gotten the interest that you need, and you've already gotten the attention of parents. Now what you need to do is get the schools involved. And we are talking about a policy here. That's why we say sometimes we need to put sports into the curriculum. It's very important, you know, just so persons will understand that it's serious business. So when Kelvin, everyone said, the president of the Gymnastics Federation comes in, he will tell us about the vision, because he is returning, and we took gymnastics to the Olympics. So what did we learn from that experience? You know, and Ucheike was very, very enthusiastic. He was looking forward to that experience. And we've said that at that stage, I mean, you don't just go to go and win, but it gladdens my heart that we're doing well with the sports at this stage. Infrastructure is another problem for that sort of sport. So what are the plans to develop infrastructure? All of these things we need to start knowing now. Maybe if we had asked basketball all of these questions and they tell us, we'll come back and be telling them that this is not what you said to us. So now we need to let sure everybody knows what they are doing. If you don't have any plan for sports, go somewhere else. Yeah,
that's true. Since you talked about infrastructure, let's quickly go to France and see what President Emmanuel Macron is up to. He's been visiting those sites that will be used for the next Olympics, Paris 2024. It's been going around seeing there was a charity game played. He scored a goal, showed some of his skills, but he personally went down to some of the venues, construction work currently going on, and is going around just to see the progress firsthand, not waiting for anybody to tell him. He's been there, he knows about the master plan. They gave him all the explanation that he needed. And he also received assurances that, look, everything is going to be ready, Mr. President.
Very important, Yemi, and because it's serious business, infrastructure, you know, does a lot for any sporting competition, and the Olympics is no joke. This is 2021, 2024. The president is visiting the Games Village site. Yemi, can you see what we're talking about? The president, I didn't tell you the Minister of Sports or the head of the Olympics committee. The president is a presidential assignment, because this will put the country on the international phase. People will come to the country, so they need to make sure that it is top-notch. Look at what Tokyo did for us in terms of infrastructure at the last Olympics. So this is what we're talking about. And you see, there's already a projected time, say to be completed in 26 months. And then they will test and test and test to just ensure that it is good. Sports is dead, is useless without proper infrastructure. And that tells you the story of sports in Nigeria, because infrastructure is a major, major setback to its development. So kudos to, I have no doubt I won't say fantastic Olympics in 2024, because when Paris was bidding for this, the city of Paris, they came all out and said that, look, we want to do something different. And I'm not surprised that in 2021, the president is already making it his business.
Yeah, and I remember growing up, some of the people who've traveled out of the country will say, see Paris and die, you know. It was, and, you know, so.
I remember,
so
when I visited Paris in 2017, I couldn't sleep that night, I said, because they say you see Paris and die.
So that's interesting. Of course, like you said, President Emmanuel Macron has been involved. All the transitionary work that was done while Tokyo was handing over to Paris. He was personally involved, and he gave the world, the sporting world, the assurances that, look, Paris is going to do something great for the next Olympics. All right, still talking about sports and sports people, let's move on now, Austin, and talk about the next big thing. Everybody's talking about it. We've ignored this for a long time, but it took people like Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles to bring it to the fore. And it's front and center now, talking about mental health issues. The demands placed on sports people. We seem not to care what they're going through. All we want is go out there and deliver. When they don't do that, we criticize them. They have personal issues, personal struggles, things that could be overwhelming that they are going through, but it seems everybody just wants to see them perform. That's what they're like. Deal with your personal problems. We don't care. Just go out there and perform. And Allison Felix, the most decorated athlete, she's been talking about it. But before we listen to Allison Felix, your take as well, because it's important. We saw Naomi Osaka stormed out of one of the Grand Slams because she said, look, I'm not going to answer your questions. I'm dealing with issues. Stop poking into my private life. And so all of this is just coming out now. It's important that sportsmen are showing that they are human, and you have to treat them like humans.
Very important here. I mean, you know, when Naomi Osaka did that and she had to withdraw from that competition, you could tell that she was pained, you know. It was also a mental health issue for Caster Semenya when she was going back and forth about her issue. Novak Djokovic has spoken about it. Rafa Nadal has spoken about it. Serena Williams, the pressure. Oh, is she going to win a 25th Grand Slam title? She said everyone just needs to calm down. That shouldn't we even just appreciate the fact that she's still playing tennis at her age, being a mother? You know, so it's good that more athletes are speaking and fans are appreciating the fact that they're speaking out, because it is in speaking that persons will understand that these persons are not superhumans after all, you know. It's the entertainers, they do a lot of stuff, but they have personal problems also. They have a life outside the sport that we know them, and it's important that we respect those spaces and then just show them love when we need to.
Yeah, that's very important. All right, let's listen to Allison Felix talk to us about being proud of the athletes that have come out to speak about mental health issues and the importance of hearing them out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just a special time for women in sports and using our voice. I was so proud of Naomi and Simone for bringing this conversation to the forefront and getting people to think and think about the way that we view athletes and that we are human and that, you know, we all have struggles. And I think we just have to support each other better and holistically and understand that these are real issues and we should, you know, support, give resources to it because, you know, obviously if Simone and Naomi and, you know, all of us have dealt with things of this magnitude, of course, kids are dealing with it as well. And we need to recognize that at an early age. Throughout my career, there was a number of people who I trained with. I wouldn't want to say any names of people who haven't come out with their own stories, but I think that a lot of women, you know, had hardships. And you know, I think Lashinda Demas was one who came out and talked about it, but so many women who did have children young and had, you know, a really challenging time being able to come back to the sport and just weren't supported in the right ways. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like there are so many women who came before me.
All right, what else can we say about Allison Felix, most decorated female athlete, most decorated female track and field athlete, 11 medals to name. All right, so that's it on mental health issues. We'll come back to talk some more about issues in athletics. But Austin, it's that time, and let me allow you get it going. Let's talk about gymnastics now. The floor is yours. All right, Austin. Yeah, like I said, the floor is yours. Let's go on with that conversation on gymnastics.
Okay, let's finally we're going to have the conversation. So let's go to our Abuja studio. The president, Gymnastics Federation of Nigeria, Kevin Erumunse, joins us now. Good evening, President of the Gymnastics Federation of Nigeria. Good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Yeah, good evening, Austin. How are you doing today? Thank you.
Awesome. Finally, we get to speak to you. Good to have you on the show. Congratulations on your re-election as president of the Gymnastics Federation of Nigeria. Let's talk about some of the things you did in the last term that you must consolidate upon in this new administration.
Okay, Austin, if you are a good student of history, in the last 4 years, you will know that a lot has been done. I made a lot of promises in my first interview with the Chinese that if I'm given the opportunity to be in charge of the federation, I will bring medals from all African games and then take Nigerian gymnastics to Olympics. And that was fulfilled. Aside that, we've been able to train a lot of coaches outside the country. It's not like before you just have one person who says is the only person that have to claim I'm the only person that have the FIG certificate. We have a lot of coaches now that have been trained. Those are many. Those are parts of the achievement. Yeah, we've really achieved for the past 4 years. A lot of them.
Now, and it was the last 4 years was very busy for gymnastics, particularly in creating awareness. But this is a new administration. Let's assume we're starting afresh. What's the goals and objectives? What's the major focus for you and this new board?
Yes, Austin, there's something very unique I've seen in this new board because the new board is peopled by individuals that have passion for this game. And I think that was what led them to go to their various zones to contest, and they found themselves in the board. And with this, I can assure you we'll double our result in the last 4 years.
What sort of experience was it for Nigeria at the Olympics? We had a representative. What can we do to consolidate on that achievement?
Yes, Austin, among all our achievements, we have a list of achievements in the past 4 years, but this is the highest of it all, breaking that record for the very first time in the history of Nigeria for gymnastics to attend the Olympic Games. Not just only Nigeria, That's the first time West Africa, the entire West Africa, is attending gymnastics for the very first time. The experience was very, very, it was too unique and too good.
All right, thanks for joining us again, Mr. President. Yemi from Lagos here. I'm particularly interested in asking, or I mean, getting to know about plans to develop the game from the grassroots. Or let me even start by saying, do you think that the sports is catching up among the youths, the teenagers, and the kids? Because there's a perception that gymnastics is not a Nigerian thing. So do you think people are beginning to embrace gymnastics?
Yemi, thank you so much. For those that believe gymnastics is not a Nigerian thing, at least we've been able to prove them wrong in the past 4 years. Actually, right now in this next 4 years, our major focus is to harness the economic potentials of this game by going into youth development programs, and then trying to make sure we'll involve schools, private and government schools. If you don't know, gymnastics can create more than 10,000 jobs in Nigeria. That is what a lot of people don't know. You hardly go to any schools today that they are not interested in gymnastics. In most of our sport activities, gymnastics is involved. Okay. You talk about ballet and aerobics and so many other things. So these are avenues we are looking at to develop the game, and also to also bring out that economic potentials in the game too.
All right. Let me throw this in quickly. How accessible, okay, you've talked about people doing things that are closely related to gymnastics, and also that young people are embracing it. How accessible are facilities to young, aspiring gymnasts, people who think, oh yeah, I can do this? How accessible are those facilities to them? How easy is it to get training?
Oh, that is one of the biggest challenge in the game. If you don't know, gymnastics is one of the most expensive games in all the games. It's the most expensive. To keep gymnastics going, you need a lot of finance. So for Nigeria, we've still not been able to meet up, but thank God for Governor Baseki and the Deputy Governor of Edo State, who have been able to give us a very brand new, complete gymnasium for gymnastics. And by the reason of that, we were able to strike a deal for the first time. Our international body is bringing a program to Nigeria because of that gym. That is a big plus to Governor Baseki and Shaibu, the Deputy Governor. They've really done well.
While we're waiting, President, while we're waiting to tackle this problem of infrastructure, let's talk about the ones that we can address easily: talent discovery and development. And I'm super excited that kids are beginning to show interest in gymnastics. There's a little girl, Stephanie. I think she's just about 10 at the National Sports Festival. I'm sure you heard about her somewhere. I think she's from Anambra with her parents. She did so well, but she couldn't even go for competitions after that. What can your board do to ensure that you support young talents as Stephanie so that their talent won't die?
Okay, Austin, we have a lot of talent, not just Stephanie. We have many of them, young talents. Stephanie is very good in aerobics. She's one of our targets in terms of looking at the younger ones to bring up. You see, in gymnastics, we have different group of competitions. Unfortunately, for their group now, we are building them. You get to a particular age before you can begin to expose them. Like we talked about equipment. If not for the equipment in Edo State, have you tried to pay visit to the National Stadium and look at the kind of equipment we have? But thank God for the Honorable Minister. The last time we were in Japan together, he was able to give us that support to strike a deal with the Japanese government, and they've agreed to give us a complete equipment. But that is still not enough because Nigeria is so big, so big. How do you expect the athletes we have? Like in the north, we have a lot of athletes in the north, but there's no equipment. If you go to the south, only in Edo, you can find equipment, and Delta is also trying to build. I just pray that all other governors will take after Governor Baseki and Shahibu, who have done so well for gymnastics in Nigeria. By the reason of that,
well,
the international body is coming down to hold a program.
Yeah. And that's a job for your board. So you need to find a way to take it out there so that we can tackle this problem of infrastructure.
Yeah, we have a lot of young gymnasts that are doing very well. You know, we have different session of gymnastics. We have aerobics, we have artistic. Stephanie is very good. And if you don't know, well, we've been able to also strike a deal with the Japanese government. Some of them are going for training, a training tour in Japan in January. But unfortunately, we are still trying to fight for a space for Stephanie because that is artistic. Anyway, I think by the grace of God, in these next 4 years, many of them will be coming up. You see a lot of them. We have them, many of them.
We hope so. We hope so. That's what we want. We'll continue to have this conversation. Thank you so much, President, Gymnastics Federation of Nigeria, for speaking to us on the show tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Austin. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So that's it. We'll go on this quick break now. When we come back, we'll continue with the discussion on the show. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Welcome back, Sports Tonight on Channels Television. That's the discussion on the development of the gymnastics in Nigeria. We just hope that some of the things that the president talked about will be done, so the sport will continue to, develop. Yemi, let's go back to you. Did he say some of the things you wanted to hear? You see prospects for gymnastics in the country?
Like when people don't shy away from answering questions about grassroots. A lot of people these days, a lot of federations try to sugarcoat, and what's the word now? And
they want ready-made talents. They just want ready-made
sugarcoat some of the things that are, the problems and say, oh, it's not that bad, then hype maybe the national teams and all that. But, it's talking about, recognizing talents, talking about the plans that they have. And he appears to have an understanding of the intricacies of the sport, what is required. Anytime I see things like that, I'm always very happy, and hopefully that it will take us to the top. We'll see. We'll always match all of these things we hear to the results at the end of the day. 3 years is not a long time. So we'll see what happens as we go on. All right, Austin, we're pressed for time, but let's quickly go to your end. Let's go about Claudio Ranieri. A lot of people thought he's taking a job that looks like he might not be able to do the rescue mission. But, he's somebody who's won the Premier League with Leicester City. So it's very hard to look past him. But he's been talking about the chances of his team, and he wants his team, the first start, what he wants is get me a clean sheet. Get me a clean sheet. And so we'll see whether or not he's going to be able to do that. But that's where he wants to start from.
That's a good place to start. And that's some daddy's, request, and that falls on a major player of the Super Eagles, William Troost-Ekong, because this is the heart of defense right there at Watford, So he's saying, I'm not asking for so much. I'm not saying I'm here to win the league, but to start, give me a clean sheet. So that's good mind games, That's coming into their psychology and saying, look, can we take it one step at a time? You mentioned what he did with Leicester City. That's still one wonder of the world in football. If Claudio Ranieri should repeat that with Watford, I'll just leave football for you guys. Never again with that. It's almost impossible. I looked at him at his age and I'm like, Baba should consider his blood pressure, But experience does these things, and this is a club of interest for us Nigerians because we've got 4 players right there, So we can only wish him all the best and hope that he does a good job in developing our players of the Super Eagles.
Oh, let's listen to Claudio Ranieri telling his players exactly what he wants from them. All right, safety first. That's what Claudio Ranieri is saying. Also, before we go on the show, something happened today that blew my mind. I'm very sure you have the same feeling as well. Spanish midfielder who plays for Barcelona, Pedri, signed a contract extension with Barcelona, keeps him at the club to 2026, but that's not the issue. His release is 1 billion euros. All right. Okay, so that's it. That's a wrap. Although it makes me wonder why I didn't play football. I'm thinking about it. But anyway, it's an issue for another time. That's a wrap on the show today. We do hope you've enjoyed everything we've been able to do. We're back again tomorrow, take you on a trip across the money-spinning world of sports. From Lagos, I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.
Yes, we'll be back again tomorrow. But until then, in London, I'm Austin Okonakwan saying, in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.